Hello and welcome to the channel. So this video is an instruction video of how to put together your bumper, specifically the bumper for the first generation tracker, which would be the 89 to 98 tracker. Now the 89 to 94, I believe, it might be 95, has a different bracket that'll mount it to the frame. The bumper will be the same, the bracketry will be different. I'll show you in a minute. So you will receive in the mail a box that looks like similar to this. Inside that box you will find these pieces. You have two of the bottom corner, two of the front plate, two of the top plate, and two of the brackets. One side, the other side. And each piece has bend lines. This is where it will be bent. First step you're going to do is you're going to weld the top piece, the two top pieces together. Take them like this, they go together like so, and you will weld that seam. Now, it is important to remember, it goes across and it bends back and back. The other side is the same, so when you weld them together, it'll be like that. That side bends back, that side bends back. That will be the top of your bumper, like so. I'm gonna get these welded together. Start with this one, we'll go from there. Okay, so I took the top piece here and I ground an angle on it. Let's see if I can show you that angle. I ground a little bit of a bevel on the top side of it. So what you have to be careful of when you grind the bevel on it is not to grind into the bottom piece here, because that's a nice straight piece that when you go to butt joint it up against your other piece, those two have to be tight together. That way your measurements are all right when you're putting the rest of the bumper together. This piece here is critical to have those pieces tight and butted together so that when you bend the front around it, which is in a later step, it'll be right. This is kind of what sets the curvature of the bumper. So I'm gonna weld this together and I'll show you that. So we got our piece put together, nice welded together. I ground it out because I like a smooth look with no visible weld. So that's that step. After you get that together, you're gonna want to take your front pieces and bend them at it's almost a 45-degree angle. I think it's 42 to be exact. So, okay, quick tip. So when you're bending these faces here, that is your angle. I'll show you how that fits. That is the angle of your bend. It sits in here when it's welded into the vehicle. It sits in here, or welded into the bumper permanently. It sits in here like that. So you want to check your angles, see if you're right. You should have a nice snug fit here, nice snug fit down here, and across there. So that's your angle. Take a square and bend them however you see fit. If you find it now it's important to remember that they are not bent the same. They're mirrored. So bend one direction, the other direction, so that when you lay them down, they look like this. I'll grab the camera, I'll show you. You want to be able to lay them on a table like this. You have about a 45-degree bend, and that is that. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to weld your top piece onto your front piece. Okay. So first off, you're going to weld the section between the center and the first bend on one half. So it's supposed to be lined up So you want line up your center line here with the end cut. You line up your center line of your top piece with the end of your front face. Line that up. You will put that on there. I'll use a square to hold it. And then you will, I'm going to put a couple tack welds on the back and weld the front. And then you'll repeat that for the other side. It'll be bent. It will result in a bend in the front plate on that seam where you have to weld it. Now it's important to make sure everything is square and it lines up, because this needs to be even and straight all the way along this top edge. If it's off by a little bit, this line won't line up and your bumper will end up being crooked. So you have to make sure that you have everything square and straight. I will be putting some magnets on this to hold it in place, double, triple checking, make sure everything is correct before I weld it together. So after you get your plates bent, you're going to want to tack them to the top plate. So what I've done here is, you can see the bend plate here, see the top plate here. So this front plate, it butt welds in the center here, and it welds to the top plate across there. Now, there will be a bend at this cut. There's already a bend at this cut, which is the center. There will be a bend this cut, and there will be a bend here. That bend lines up with that line. That bend lines up with that line. There's not a lot of bend in this front, so you really can just push it down. Probably want to put a clamp on it, but you can just push it down and you can just weld it to that top plate there. You want to make sure you got a little bit, you got that V groove. You want to make sure you got that V groove between the top plate and the front plate right here. That way it gives you a spot, nice little spot for your weld, and it makes the brackets that hook it to the vehicle, makes them fit perfectly. So I'm going to continue tacking this up, getting this top plate tacked to the front plate, and then I'll show you what we do with the bends and with the V grooves on the front. Okay, when you get it all tacked together, it should look like this. Should look like that. I put my tacks on the back side. So that's how it should look. Next step will be to bend these ends to match this angle. That one and that one. Okay, so I got the corner pulled, tacked in there. Next piece, now it's time for this piece here. This piece, switch hands here. This piece here fits right in that corner. All right, I'm gonna get that tacked in there, and then the bumper shell will be complete. And then we'll come mounting it on the vehicle. Okay, the bumper shell is fully welded or fully tacked together. At this point, you can go ahead and fully weld everything. All right, so the next step in your project is to remove your stock bumper from your vehicle. And you will use these brackets. These are your bumper mount brackets. So this bracket is specific to the 89 to 94 tracker. There should be 2 bolts here and here. You bolt on the side of the vehicle here. I'll show you. So your mounting bracket should look like that for the 89 to 94. Those are the 2 bolts that you're going to use to mount your bumper. So you're going to screw this bracket onto there. Alright, so you're going to screw your 2 brackets on the car, and then you're going to take your bumper shell that you've got put together. At this point it's still tack welded together. You could have welded it all the way if you wanted to. You're going to set that onto your brackets, and then you're going to center it side to side. Make sure everything fits. I would recommend reaching in here with a tape measure, measuring from the bracket to the end of the bumper, measuring from the bracket to the end of the bumper, make sure the bumper is centered, and then reach back around with your welder and tack weld those brackets on, and that makes all your brackets in place where they belong. Remove the whole bumper, weld it all up, paint it up, and your project's finished. Thank you for ordering. And thanks for watching.